Hi, folks. As you probably know already, if you, like me, are a Star Trek fan, the Section 31 movie is out. I posted my review video of it. Most other YouTubers who do Star Trek related content have weighed in, thrown their 2 cents in as far as what they think of it. General consensus seems to be pretty negative. Most people, both people like me who talk about Star Trek in public for a living and people who are just fans, people in the audience to just watch the movie, most people seem to have not liked it very much, have not thought it was very good. But there is, of course, a particular subset of the fan base that has taken the negative reception of Section 31 as a big bloody hunk of red meat, and it has led to some extremely vitriolic reactions to Section 31, the movie, and also to some of the people who made it. And that brings me to this post that I saw yesterday on Blue Sky by my friend and fellow Star Trek themed YouTuber Sean Ferrick, which said, and by the way, Sean is with Trek Culture, and Sean is one of the good ones. The whole gang over there at Trek Culture are okay in my book, and Sean in particular is an absolute prince and is incredibly funny and clever and great on camera, and I just have boundless appreciation and admiration for him. Good on you, Sean, just in general. And Sean had this to say about some of these vitriolic responses that he has seen in his videos related to Star Trek. And this has been sort of kicked off by the negative reaction to the Section 31 movie. Sean says, I'll give you an idea where we're at. I get hate pretty much all the time for not calling for Kurtzman's job. I'm used to it at this stage. But what I won't and will never tolerate are the death threats against him I've had to delete from the comments. I don't know Alex Kurtzman, but I've been called every name under the sun just for interviewing him for 5 minutes. People have commented on our channel calling for him to be thrown from a tall building. And these comments were getting likes. I think most of you know me. I'll chat, I'll engage, and we can happily disagree about anything in Star Trek. It's one of the genuine joys of doing this. I've been called a shill often, as I don't rage bait. I'm used to that now if you're trying to get a rise out of me. But death threats to anyone for any reason because you don't like the Star Trek they make? No. Dislike the man's work or direction or ideas to your heart's content. That's entirely up to you. But what are we as a community if instead of discussing what we like, dislike, or want to see in the future, we're seeing people calling for the murder of a man and others thinking it's funny? And I weighed in and shared my own thoughts on the matter. And basically, I agree with Sean. It's ridiculous. And my thread on the subject ends with the statement of if you find yourself so attached to Star Trek or to any other property, Star Wars, a particular superhero franchise, any show, any movie, whatever it is, if you find yourself so attached to it that you take it personally when that franchise produces a project that you don't like, to the point that you're willing to bully and harass and threaten the people who made that thing you don't like, or also bully, harass, and threaten other fans who maybe did like it more than you do. If you've gotten to that point, it is time to detach yourself from this thing that you are attached to because you are overly attached to it. And I want to take this video to respond to one of the more common responses to what I just said. Because I've said this kind of thing before. Like, if you like Star Trek or Star Wars or whatever so much that you actually get mad at the people who made it when they make part of it that you don't like, then you're overly attached and you need to back off. You need to gain some perspective. And whenever I say that, invariably, there are people who comment and say, but Steve, you don't understand. For some of us, Star Trek is all we have. For some of us, Star Wars is all we have. And when something comes out that's Star Trek or Star Wars or MCU or DCU or whatever that disappoints us, that doesn't live up to our expectations, that we feel betrays the essential spirit of this thing that we love and that is so important to us, Steve, we do take it personally. You don't understand, because maybe it's not important to you, but it is important to a lot of us. And you should be more understanding and more considerate of that. And I have two responses to that. First of all, I kind of bristle at the implication that just because I don't take it personally when there's a bad thing under that banner, that means I don't care about Star Trek or Star Wars or whatever, that it must not be really important to me. If I see a Star Wars movie that I think is bad, but I don't get angry about it, and I don't harass the people who made it, and I don't join like online hate campaigns against it, because I don't go that far, well, then it must mean that Star Wars isn't important to me. If a bad Star Wars movie or a bad Star Trek movie or a bad Star Trek TV show or whatever, if it doesn't ruin my day or my month or whatever, then that just means that it's not actually important to me. Fanatics don't get to claim that they are the only legitimate members of a fandom. Okay? That's number one. If you are a fanatic, obsessive fan of something, your fandom is no more authentic than anyone else's. And number two, if you are that kind of a fan, and Star Wars or Star Trek or whatever it is we're talking about does mean that much to you, it's all you have. And I'm not trying to be mean when I say this. It might come across that way, but that's not how I intend it. But apparently somebody needs to tell you this, and if it's me, so be it. If that is your situation, if you get angry at bad Star Trek or bad Star Wars, and you get angry at the people who make what you consider to be bad Star Trek or bad Star Wars, because it's just that important to you, it means that much to you, if that is the situation, that's your problem. That in no way justifies taking it out on other people. If you see a bad Star Trek movie or a bad Star Trek show or a bad Star Wars movie or a bad Star Wars show or whatever, and it ruins your day, you have like a serious emotional reaction to it where you're genuinely upset and depressed, that's something you need to deal with. That does not give you the right to take it out on anyone else, not the people who made it, not other fans who like it more than you. Nobody. Nobody. You need to deal with that yourself. If you are that close to it, that's your problem. And nobody else owes anything to you. Just because you care about it so much, that doesn't entitle you to special privileges that other people in the audience don't have. You need to deal with that without making your problem someone else's problem. So this argument, this response of, well, you just don't understand how much Star Wars or Star Trek or whatever means to people. It doesn't matter. Not in this case. It doesn't matter. You can't say, well, yes, of course, I publicly wished Alex Kurtzman dead, and I joined in harassment campaigns against actors or producers or writers or whatever who I blamed for things I didn't like. But it's justifiable that I did that. You need to be understanding of my position. I just love it so much. At the end of the day, regardless of how you feel about it, What happened to you was you saw a movie that you didn't like. You saw a TV show you didn't like. You read a comic book you didn't like. That's what happened. You have not actually been injured in any way. That show or comic or movie or what have you was not made for you. You don't own it. You have no right to impose your expectations on it, your expectations of it, excuse me, on anyone else. That's you. That's you. And just because it means something to you, just because it means everything to you, but doesn't mean it has to mean the same thing in the same way to anyone else. So handle your bullshit. If you are one of those fans that feels entitled to throw public tantrums and publicly harass people and try to ruin other people's day and bully people and threaten people because they made something you didn't like and you feel like it's your right to take it out on them in that way because you just care about it so much, handle your business. Unfuck yourself would be my advice. Take it for what it's worth. Obviously, I don't care about the thing as much as you do. I've never thought of bullying or harassing or abusing or threatening someone because they had something to do with a TV show or a movie I didn't like. Clearly, I just don't understand it as much as you do. Clearly, I just don't care about it as much as you do. It gives you no right to behave that way. It's at the end of the day, and this is coming from someone, a lifelong fan, a lifelong lover of movies and TV and comics and just art in general, a lifelong lover of stories and storytelling. At the end of the day, it's just a fucking movie. And if that's how you react to seeing a movie that you didn't like, if that's how you react to being disappointed by a movie or a show, you need to figure your fucking shit out. And you need to stop making it everybody else's problem.